The Mumbai Monsoon, a much-awaited event in this part of the country, is officially here. That's right. It's only the 26th of May, but the Met Department has now officially declared that the monsoon is upon us. It's the earliest arrival of the monsoon in this part of the country since 1990. That's when the monsoon came on the 20th of May. Not just that, this is now officially the heaviest rainfall that Mumbai has received since May 1918 for this particular month. So a 107-year-old record has been broken. And the fact is that in the 24 hours ending 8:30 a.m. on Monday morning, the Colaba Observatory recorded a voluminous 135 mm of rain. That's right, Mumbai in a way has been taken aback by the sheer intensity of the rainfall so early in the year. Remember, normally the monsoon comes here only in the second week of June. We are in the last week of May, which is why we're going to focus on the freaky weather, on the fact that is the city really prepared to face these changing climatic conditions? Is the infrastructure of Mumbai and indeed several parts of the country ready to face the monsoon fury? As you can see around me, the Arabian Sea is raging. The monsoon is here, and so am I in Mumbai. Hello and welcome to this News Today special coming to you from Mumbai, where our top focus, the monsoon, is here, and it has caught India's financial capital by surprise, coming several days ahead of schedule, also within 2 days of striking Kerala. There was waterlogging in many parts of Mumbai. A metro station was shut down barely 2 weeks after being inaugurated. By evening, the situation had improved, but there is a red alert for several parts of not just the Konkan coast, but other parts of southern and western India. Clearly, the climatic weather changes are catching people by surprise. It is, as I said, the heaviest rainfall in the month of May since 1918. That is 107 years ago. Take a look at our top story.
This image describes the state of Mumbai best. The newly inaugurated Acharya Atre Chowk underground metro station on Aqua Line 3 underwater. Operational since May 10th, the station that links key business districts of Bandra Kurla complex and Worli was shut down on Monday. Citing technical issues, the Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation Limited temporarily curtailed services on the route.
Just after the 16 days of inauguration of Aqua Line Metro 3, the question arises that what kind of quality they have maintained while doing work and whose responsibility it is that the water completely flooded into the metro station, which is underground. And we can see the heavy police bandobast outside the metro station. No one is allowed to go inside and see what is the reality.
Mumbai was caught off guard on Monday as monsoon came calling 2 weeks ahead of normal date. In fact, the earliest in recorded history, which meant the city authorities were not prepared for the downpour. A road caved in at Kemp's Corner. Water entered KEM Hospital.
We are right now at the Parel, where 4 major hospitals of the city are located, which is one of the KEM hospital, in which water got inside the hospital in the OPD section where children were treated. There are 2 Wadia hospitals of children, which are the biggest hospitals in Mumbai for the children. And also there is another hospital, Tata Cancer Hospital, which is the biggest hospital of the country for the cancer treatment. You cannot say whether is the road and where is the footpath and where is the road.
In Panvel, water entered homes and shops in Parel.
जितनी पट्टी है ना उतने पट्टी तक ये पूरा पानी भरा था। जितना पट्टी देखो ये पूरा पानी भरा था उतने पट्टी तक।
माल शिफ्ट किया?
माल ऊपर हमने शिफ्ट कर दिया कि हर साल का ये तो हमको आइडिया था कि पानी भरता है, तो हमने पहले से तैयारी करके अपना माल शिफ्ट कर लिए थे।
सुबह से आ रहा है, सुबह से कम आधा इंच पानी आया है और बहुत सारा माल भी खराब हुआ, पाउडर वगैरह खराब हुआ हमारा। ये इनकी लापरवाही है सरकार की, ये तो इस पे ध्यान देना चाहिए थोड़ा बहुत।
Hind Mata, not accustomed to heavy waterlogging, faced its share of problems.
जो ड्रेनेज सिस्टम है वो उनकी अभी तक अपडेट नहीं हुई है। नियर अबाउट 4 ड्रेनेज सिस्टम जो उन्होंने डाली थी आउट ऑफ 7 में से वो भी अभी तक काम नहीं कर रही है। उनका जो इलेक्ट्रिशियन का वर्किंग है वो बारिश की वजह से प्रॉपर नहीं कर पा रहा है, इसकी वजह से ये सब पूरी हालत हुई है।
Mumbai has seen the highest rainfall for the month of May in 107 years. The monsoon is rapidly advancing across Maharashtra and is projected to hit northern India ahead of schedule. Bureau Report, India Today.
So I'm going to look at this from two aspects. One, of course, is what the climatic conditions suggest when it comes to the monsoon. And then we look at the aspect of urban planning. Let's first focus on the fact that we've had a monsoon coming in 2 weeks earlier and the heaviest rainfall in the month of May in the city of Mumbai for 107 years. Joining me now, Mrityunjay Mahapatra, he's DG IMD. Also joining me is Subimal Ghosh, convener of the Interdisciplinary Program in Climate Studies and professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at IIT Mumbai. Appreciate your joining us. Let me come to Dr. Mahapatra first. The IMD has predicted a red alert and a depression, but are you also caught by surprise by the intensity of the rainfall and just how soon the monsoon has come?
Yeah, southeast monsoon, as we predicted earlier, has come early.
Yes.
Usually, southeast monsoon reaches Kerala coast by 1st June, and this year it came on 24th, and by 26th it has reached Mumbai against normal date of around 11 June. So about 2 weeks before it has reached Mumbai. And if you look at the situation during past 3 to 4 days, rainfall is continuing. And during past 24 hours, there has been extremely heavy rainfall activity all along the west coast, starting from Kerala to Maharashtra, and especially the cities like Mumbai also registered the extremely heavy rainfall. Though it is the extreme heavy rainfall event, if you look at the data in the past years, as and when the monsoon advances over these western Ghat areas, it leads to heavy to extremely heavy rainfall activity. So that is nothing new in that. But the new thing is that it has come after many years. It has come so early. Earlier records were there in 1957 or 62, in 1971, those days when monsoon has arrived, say for example in May 29 or something like that. But this year it has come on May 26, and accordingly, if you compare rainfall of 24 hours ending today for the normal rainfall of May, certainly it will be a record breaking. But if you compare the monsoon onset rain in the past years, it is a natural phenomena that extremely heavy rainfall occurs over Mumbai.
Let me bring in Professor Ghosh at this moment. Professor Ghosh, purely from a climatic viewpoint, we are seeing increasingly monsoons coming in shorter bursts. In this case, as early as the 4th week of May. Normally the monsoon sets in only 10th of June. We've received in the last 24 hours more rain than the month of May has received in Mumbai in the last 20 years. What explains it? Are we seeing freak climatic conditions now playing a greater and greater role?
So there are 2 points here. The first thing is that when you're talking about extremes, of course, with warming, extremes are increasing. This is because with the temperature increase, the water holding capacity of atmosphere increases, and when it falls together as an extreme, so the extreme rainfall increases. So with per degree centigrade warming, 7 to 8% intensity of extreme rainfall increases. That's number one. Now, number two is here we are talking about onset. Now, what has actually happened is over the Arabian Sea, there is a cyclonic formation, and that sort of cyclonic formation resulted, it just became a Sharathi of the entire monsoon, which progressed very fast. For example, even as Dr. Mohapatra was mentioning that, in Kerala, the monsoon onset took place on 24th. And within 2 days, Mumbai has experienced onset. Normally, Mumbai gets around 11 days of time after the Kerala onset. So what happens? So preparedness, Mumbai was not really prepared for this kind of extreme rainfall. That was also another reason because of which we are seeing this sort of things, because the municipal corporation has to really
what explains the fact, Professor Ghosh, that the monsoon, which normally, as you said, takes 11 days to move from Kerala to Mumbai, has taken 2 days this time? We've seen in recent years cyclonic conditions building over the Arabian Sea in a manner that wasn't the case even a few years ago. Something seems to be changing.
Definitely. So the warming is happening, and this year Arabian Sea was very warm, and at the same time what has happened is that there is a cyclonic formation that really resulted in the progression of monsoon onset very fast. So that's what is happening. But can you really attribute to climate change? That we have to do a proper analysis to say such things. But of course, with climate change, more such extremes are expected.
You're saying that it need not necessarily be climate change, but it was a depression in this case, of course, over the Arabian Sea. But as I said earlier, we are seeing many more cyclonic formations over the Arabian Sea compared to past years. If you look at the last 3-4 years, sir, we've seen series of cyclonic formations coming up in the Arabian Sea.
Yes, definitely. That's because of warming. And with warming, these cyclonic formations are increasing. And specifically, this Arabian Sea, which is the Western Indian Ocean, that is warming very fast. So that's, of course, one of the reasons. But exactly attributing this event to climate change is a tricky question, so which needs more analysis. But in general, we can say that, yes, the cyclones over Arabian Sea is increasing.
Mrityunjay Mohapatra, in your early monsoon warning system, you suggested, or early monsoon prediction system, you suggested we could be heading for a normal monsoon. Is that something you're sticking to? That 2025 will see a normal monsoon? The fact that it's come early, does that change any of your prediction trackers?
Yeah, I will just make a slight correction. We have predicted above normal monsoon. Actually, for the country as a whole, we predicted 105% of the average rainfall, and we predicted that early onset of monsoon and uniform distribution. And in most parts of the country will get normal to above normal rainfall, except northeastern states, Ladakh, and some parts in the extreme south India. So, to begin with, it has given a good rainfall, and it is a continuity of rainfall activity in the month of May itself. This year has got good rainfall activity. But that does not mean that it will continue so throughout the season. The monsoon onset, early onset or delayed onset has no direct relationship with the total seasonal rainfall for the country as a whole. So, we can also not expect early onset here will give a guarantee that there will be early onset over extreme northwest India. So, there are many variations within the season itself, and for this purpose there is continuous monitoring and prediction in various time scales, starting with season, then monthly forecast, then week-wise forecast for next 4 weeks.
But you are predicting, but you are still sticking to
during the day there is a very short range.
You're sticking to your prediction of an You're sticking to your prediction of an above normal monsoon for most of the country, am I right?
Yes, you are right. You are right. Except northeast India and some extreme northwest India like Ladakh and adjoining Jammu and Kashmir, where below normal rainfall is expected.
Professor Ghosh, give us the big picture when it comes to climatic change, because there is so much of talk over what these climatic change conditions are doing to weather patterns. We're seeing more intense summers over a shorter period of time in some parts of the country. We've seen rainfall in some of the winter months, which were unexpected. Now we are seeing an early onset of monsoon. Are you saying don't immediately, instantly suggest that this is all because of climate change?
With climate change, definitely the intensity, duration, and frequency of all extreme events are increasing. For example, and the other thing also, it was very clearly mentioned in the IPCC Assessment Report 6 that rarest events will become, the increase of rarest event will be more. So the rarer the events, increase is more. So which is another problematic thing. That means that those events for which we are not really prepared, they will occur more, and that results into this sort of problems like financial damage, life loss, and so on and so forth. Of course, with climate change, things are happening very fast, very rapidly, and it's increasing very fast.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. You've given us an overview of what has happened in the last 24 hours in Mumbai. So I appreciate both Professor Dr. Mahapatra and Professor Ghosh for joining me on the show tonight. I want to just now shift to the planning aspect of it. Relentless rain has brought not just Mumbai to their knees. In the last 10 days, if you see, it was Mumbai today. In Delhi, roads have turned into rivers after heavy rains on the weekend. In Bengaluru, India's tech capital, faced waterlogging, power cuts. There were even deaths reported in that city. As the monsoon lashes hard, civic infrastructure across our metros is once again being exposed. The long-standing urban planning gaps are being exposed cruelly year after year. And the question arises, will anything change? Will there be accountability? Who should be held responsible? Are our urban planning systems, the so-called smart cities, simply incapable of handling such high levels of rain? Joining me now is Jaya Dindo. She's Executive Program Director, Sustainable Cities with WRI India. Shruti Narayan will also join us shortly, Managing Director of Regions and Mayoral Engagement at the C40 cities. But first, Jaya Dindo, give us a sense. When we look at these images, imagine in Shruti Narayan, let's come to you first. Take a look at what we've seen in Mumbai today. We had a metro project that was inaugurated just 2 weeks ago. But as it turned out, there was a wall close by which was not fully ready. It collapsed and the water seeped in. Now, this may be a one-off incident, but when I look at Mumbai today, even on some of the main arterial roads, we already are seeing potholes. Are our cities and its infrastructure simply incapable of handling this scale of weather events?
Thank you, Rajdeep. And it was, you're absolutely right. I think what is happening is, as outlined, that our, extreme weather events are increasing and are becoming more intense. And the infrastructure that was designed in the city about even now or 10 or 20 years earlier is incapable of handling the kind of extremities that we are seeing in weather events. And this requires a twofold response. One is that we need to have an immediate response looking at how are we protecting people, right? That's an immediate response. How are we protecting people? What are we doing? How are we getting them out through emergency warning systems? But the more systemic way of looking at this is integrated planning. We need to really look at our statutory documents that guide our cities' growth and development. Most cities in Global South are still fast growing. And how are we using our built environment and where are we building? And that needs to be really considered. So that is very critical for us to start doing immediately. Are we, looking at hydrospatial, hydrodynamic analysis to understand extremities of events and how that will impact our cities? Are we building in the right places? Are we building in the right way? And are we doing the right things to keep the water? What it's really important about looking at urban planning and integrating our water systems. And it's a really integral process. And I think that needs to start happening now. I know a lot of cities within our network in C40 cities are making very significant attempts in looking at planning as a very institutional mechanism of having this change, but it needs to become
Can you explain to us what are these Can you explain to our viewers these C40 cities that you're talking about? Because many people are saying the real problem is also the quality of material being used. So there's one aspect of the planning, the other is the quality of material. But can you explain what this C40 cities you're talking about is?
Sure. So C40 is a global network of cities that have come together and, have sort of committed to a very high degree of climate ambition that they deliver on ground. In India, we are working with Mumbai, with Delhi, with Bangalore, Ahmedabad, and Chennai, and also working with other cities. And these cities have been a part of our network for a very, very long time. And almost all of these cities have developed a climate action plan that has been able to identify and, they have developed frameworks in responding to the climate risks that they are facing currently and they would face in the future. So this, because this is cross-sectoral, so cities are really looking at addressing this. Now, on the question of materials, I think.
No, but then why am I seeing the cities waterlogged year out? If you're saying that these cities are preparing for the future, making themselves future ready, many of them don't seem to be present ready. Forget about the future.
So I think, Rajdeep, it's a sort of a situation that you have to understand, right? The extremities of weather events are increasing now, right? In frequency and in intensity. And it will take us time. So imagine if probably Mumbai wasn't ready, it could have been worse. So I think it's really about looking at a very systemic way of addressing this. And it's not only about handling the situation at the point of weather events, but also looking at it from a holistic perspective on what happens before. Are we cleaning our drains properly? Are we using the right drainage material? Are we using urban planning in the right way? Are we using the right emergency response systems? And just quickly, the way we work in C40 is also peer learning. We bring cities together through our networks where they exchange knowledge with each other, because we understand, right? And cities they are the first responders, Rajdeep, and the cities understand that it will impact them from a health perspective and economic perspective, and it will pause the city. And it's really important at these points to look at how are we protecting our critical infrastructure like energy supplies, water supplies, and hospitals. So if you look at cities, they are working on this, but I think the speed at which they're responding needs to be accelerated and become more systemic, like using, systems like master planning.
Can I just bring in Jaya Dhindo at the moment? Jaya, we saw Bengaluru last week. We saw Delhi on the weekend, and we are seeing Mumbai today. Now, we are seeing in Bengaluru, for example, encroachments on water bodies and concretization of stormwater drains. In Mumbai, we are seeing a series of urban projects, the metro projects, the various flyovers, but all of them are seen, in some parts at least, not to have made themselves waterproof enough. Do you believe that there is a fundamental problem in the way urban infrastructure is being designed in this country, and that really needs to be tackled?
Yes, Rajdeep, absolutely. I think the way that we are designing infrastructure right now and the way that we are handling the situations at our hand right now are very ad hoc. So in general, our cities face multiple issues and constraints. So there's a lack of awareness. We don't pay attention to geography. We don't pay attention to terrain, hydrogeology, things of that nature. We don't have the financial resources. There's autonomy of the cities, which is compromised, and there's a capacity issue, which is very real with respect to governance. So currently what cities are doing are addressing problems and, firefighting in an ad hoc manner, looking at, for example, hotspot approach to like these flooding images that you have on your screen. So it's like looking at, okay, which hotspot, which area got flooded? Let me look at what is the band-aid solution I can provide to those problems, not looking at sort of the larger systemic things that need to be done, looking at drainage, looking at a catchment approach, the drainage systems. And since no authority is incentivized, empowered, or mandated to do this long-term planning, our issues are simply persisting in city after city.
No, but no organization is accountable either. I mean, the stormwater drains problem, for example, that I mentioned in Bengaluru with the encroachments that continue to take place has been building up over the years. In Mumbai as well. And no one seems, many of these, Bangalore hasn't held a local body election for several years, neither has Mumbai. So who do I turn to? Do I go to the municipal corporations, will they be held accountable? Is there a problem of accountability here? Or do you believe that is just one aspect of many problems that confront our cities?
I think it's the many problems that confront, and also these problems have been building up over decades. When we're talking about our infrastructure, our drainage infrastructure is legacy. It is from the British times. It's 70, 80 years old. And we haven't done anything to upgrade that drainage system. When we look at the recurrent rates of sort of climate events, and what you're talking about in Bangalore, for example, hasn't happened overnight. 85% of our blue-green infrastructure in the city is encroached upon. And so the natural percolation capacity that it would offer, the water holding capacity, the ecosystem services that it would provide, they no longer exist. And so you have, 100 or, 100 mm of rain and the city comes to a standstill. So these issues have been building on, and there's certainly a underlying governance issue, because there isn't one authority in the city that is supposed to be mandated to do everything from planning to implementation to monitoring. In fact, in a city like Bangalore, we have over 25 different authorities who look at just the water cycle. So when you have such amount of fragmentation, it is very hard to come at one solution. What the city really needs is a strategic plan around this, and actually at the local areas, because people are living.
Is it too late though? Is it
No,
too
not
late
sure.
to even, to look at the strategic planning, given the way that these cities are expanding? Just look at Bengaluru's population, look at Delhi's population, the manner in which they've exploded. Few other cities in the world have had to deal with such scale of population explosion.
Yes, no, but it's not too late. That's the good news. A city like Bangalore now has a climate action plan. And there are actions which are being taken by the public sector, by the private sector, by citizens towards looking at how do you regreen the city, how do you put the blue-green infrastructure back in place. What we really need now is ward level or neighborhood level action plans. So what we have is a city level action plan, and that we will have to chip away at. But for immediate resolution, because climate change is now, the flooding is now and at my doorstep, what we really need is local neighborhood level, climate action plans and climate action roadmaps to understand, the data, what needs to be done, how can we reduce the pressure on our grey infrastructure, how can we bring solutions like nature-based solutions in small pockets and create a network of those so that the sponginess of the city or the percolation capacities can be brought back. So no, it's not too late at all.
You're saying it's not too late at all, but Shruti Narayan, the sense I get is that urban governance is several steps behind the challenges that lie out there. That is one of our big crisis points at the moment. Just go across India cities. I mean, as I mentioned, the potholes and the caved roads that we saw on day one today of the monsoons here. What we've seen in Bengaluru over the last few years in terms of the quality of the roads. I mean, there seems to be a general crisis of urban governance at the moment. Do you agree? Or do you believe I'm painting way too a negative picture?
So, I mean, definitely there is a challenge in the urban governance, Rajdeep, but I think there is hope. And cities are taking action. They are looking at master planning. It's going to be a systematic and slow steps, but they are moving in the right direction. We've seen this not only in India, but around the world. I'm definitely very hopeful that we are seeing cities taking actions in understanding how they can make them more resilient and really understand what's needed in a systemic way.
The reason I again press both of you is, if I were to give you, Shruti, where would you start? If today you were to advise a Bengaluru municipal authority or a Mumbai municipal authority or that in Delhi, where would you start? What according to you is the best way to start to prepare India for these extreme climatic conditions, especially in the monsoons?
I think, so my response would be that it's a process of really systematically looking at our urban planning of the city, accounting for the growth. We have built over our cities natural bodies, and, they've lost their capacity of holding water. And there has to be a very kind of a planned way of looking at what's happening now and the future expansion. Nature-based solutions are a very, very important way of preserving the city And we can start on it today. It needs a very participatory approach where we are bringing the community, the private sector, and other stakeholders. But I mean, I think there's a lot of hope in looking at that and really looking at how we are using our energy as well.
But the point, Jaya, is that we talk about community participation. The fear is, of course, there is the Neta, bureaucrat, contractor Raj that dominates all our cities. And that is leading to untrammeled construction in all our cities. If there's one common factor, it's the manner in which construction is taking place. And there, what can community participation do, given that they really are not empowered to actually challenge this Neta, contractor, official Raj?
So yes, Rajdeep, I think where I would start from first is really from data, because you cannot manage what you can't measure. So I think bringing to light and visibilizing the data around, current sort of needs, what does the topography look like, what is the environment, the built and the natural, what is the carrying capacity of our systems, water resources, the infrastructure carrying capacities. We need to bring that to light. We need to make it very visible, very public, so that people can use that data to then make informed choices and decisions. It's a choice, and everybody's going to have to make a choice. It's going to be a bad choice or a good choice, but at least the first thing you can do is start with data.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate all of you joining us, both of you joining us and giving us ideas, which I believe are ideas which I hope urban planners are looking at. One of the biggest crises of the country at the moment is the quality of urban governance. We talk of smart cities, but our cities year after year, many of them are simply not smart but sinking. Who will save India's sinking cities should become a national challenge. Those are the stories that need to be highlighted. This monsoon, we will continue to focus on these stories here on the News Today as part of our commitment for news without the noise. I appreciate my guests joining me on the show tonight. Now, while we are looking at India's sinking cities as the glass half empty, there are those who will look at the glass half full. India has surpassed Japan to become the world's fourth largest economy with a projected GDP of $4.19 billion for the financial year 2025-26. Niti Aayog CEO BVR Subramaniam on Sunday asserted that India is at a takeoff stage and within the next 2.5 to 3 years will become even the world's third largest economy. The US, China and Germany are now the only three economies larger than India. The US boasts a 30.5 trillion economy, followed by China at 19.23 trillion, way ahead. Germany sits just ahead of India, though, at $4.7 trillion. So that's the big news, in a way, for those who are hopeful that India will now soon be not just the fourth, but the third largest economy at some stage in the next couple of years. Joining me now someone who is one of India's most respected economists, joined by Neelkant Mishra, Chief Economist at Axis Bank, Head of Global Research, Axis Capital. He's also been part of the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. Neelkant Mishra, appreciate your joining us. How should we look at these numbers? The fact that India has overtaken Japan to become the fourth largest economy in the world. Give us the positives that you first see.
Well, I think sustaining a growth rate is much harder than it seems. So we almost take it as inevitable that growing the economy in nominal terms at 10 to 11% year after year, in real terms at 6 to 7% year after year. There are many countries that have struggled to sustain this growth rate for several decades. So I think we should pat ourselves on the back that through all the political churn, through all the changes, through all the global turbulence, that we've been able to sustain this growth rate. To some extent, this is also an inevitability. So in economics, what we call the productivity frontier, we are very far away from the productivity frontier. So in early stages, it is easy to catch up. So you can do the simple things much earlier. And therefore, I think the growth rate can be sustained. As you start getting closer to the productivity frontier, the growth starts to become harder and harder, and tougher decisions need to be taken. So we need to sustain this growth rate. So even though we are the fourth largest economy, in per capita GDP, we are not even in the top 100. And therefore, from the perspective of bringing up the quality of life of the average Indian, there is a very long way for us to go.
Let's look at that per capita income GDP point, Nilkant, that you made, because we're not in the top 100 globally when it comes to per capita income, even as we become the fourth largest economy in gross GDP terms. But remember that our economy, as was pointed out, in terms even of per capita, has increased substantially over the last 20 years, over the last 2 decades in particular. So how does one see it? The fact is that per capita income doubled from US dollars 1,438 in 2013-14 to US dollars 2,880 in 2024 in 11 years. So over the last 20 years, both under a UPA government from 2003 to 13 and then now over the next 10 years, there's been a fair increase. Now, should we be looking at that and be satisfied, sanguine, look, that we are moving in the right direction? Or is there still a long way to go, particularly on per capita income?
Oh, we should be quite happy with what we've achieved, the problems we have solved, which have brought us to this level. We have significantly improved financial inclusion. We have provided basic infrastructure to crores of households through rural roads, through electricity, through dense energy, cooking gas, through phone connections, very cheap data. We are now starting to provide very cheap payment services. So there are many things that we have done very well. But at the same time, if we have to move from $2,800 or $3,000 per capita to $10,000 per capita, there are many, many harder challenges to solve. Just like the discussions you were having just before we started discussing per capita GDP, like the challenge of urbanization. I think we have not done enough, and I think there's a very, very long way to go. And in fact, if we have to get to $10,000, we have to solve those problems. Otherwise, we won't get there.
So are we as some critics or skeptics suggest, trapped in a middle income country trap? Can we really ever become a high income country given the size and of the challenges, our sheer population?
No, the middle income trap hits you around $10,000 per capita. That's where just copying what the rest of the world has done and moving forward is not enough. We have a long way to go to get caught there. I think we have at least 15 years before we start worrying about the middle income trap. But we need to start working towards preventing getting caught in that trap, because after you get there, you can't really think about getting out of it, because the economic models, the economic structure that gets you from low income to middle income is not the economic structure that will take you from middle income to high income. So you need to become a product nation. So it's very encouraging that a lot of government messaging over the past year and a half has actively talked about strategic autonomy, developing intellectual property within India, building brands, building Indian multinationals. All of these are extremely important if you have to break through the middle income trap, which I think is inevitable for any country to go through that phase. Whether you break through that or you get stuck in it is dependent on what economic models you use. So countries like South Korea, Taiwan, Spain, which have in the last 30, 40 years broken through the middle income trap, I think have a lot of lessons for us. So if we deregulate, if we build our cities well, if we focus on research and development, if we focus on developing our own intellectual property, I think the chances of getting stuck in the middle income trap are very low. And we also must remember that given India's size, while South Korea's growth or Taiwan's growth or Spain's growth did not really challenge anyone, as India starts to drive its heft, even at $4 trillion, we are very, very large. We are now starting to become an inevitable part of global plans for multinationals. Imagine if we were a $15 or $20 trillion economy. We will start becoming a threat to many other large economies. So this is the concept of the resisted rise. We will start to see other countries starting to put impediments on our path. So therefore, I think preparing for what will hit us maybe 10, 12, 15 years later, and the challenges that make countries get stuck in the middle income trap, we need to start working on them right now.
The other trap, if you want to call it, is the inequality trap, Neelkant, because, if I look at some reports on inequality index suggest that we still are simply not where we should be. The top 10% of the population will account for 60, 70% of income, according to some figures at least. Is that going to remain a major challenge, and how does one overcome that? You spoke of inclusive growth, but there is a sense that we still haven't been able to really build towards making a slightly less unequal society.
So you're absolutely right. I think the fact that at this stage of growth, there is no economy in the world which has not seen an increase in inequality, because at this stage of growth, where a very large percentage of people are available in the labor force that are shifting from agriculture to manufacturing or services, there is a surplus of labor and there is a shortage of capital. So what tends to happen is labor then loses pricing power because there are too many workers and too little capital. So capital has more pricing power, and therefore income starts to shift towards capital, and that drives an increase in inequality. In fact, this is standard economic theory that at this stage of economic development, it is very hard to avoid an increase in inequality. But at the same time, I think it's extremely important. Remember that between 2012 and 2023, we actually saw consumption inequality in India fall. And that happened because we provided better infrastructure in terms of roads, phones, electricity, cooking gas, and a lot of things that drive productivity. If we keep focusing on that, we can perhaps drive a path which does not drive an inevitable rise in inequality. Because remember that if this keeps happening, some of the political consensus that exists towards economic reforms, towards opening up, towards increasing the involvement of the private sector, which is inevitable, which is essential for us to keep growing, that political consensus can start to erode. So therefore, I think it's extremely important that we manage to drive the growth on a path which does not increase inequality to the extent it can. And there are ways of doing that. So we have seen that over the past decade. I think going forward, providing, again, cheap access to electricity, providing cheap credit through things like, the India stack, allowing for cheap credit to be provided at scale, small 50,000, 1 lakh rupee loans to be provided at scale, small equity capital to be provided at scale, providing entrepreneurship growth, startups across major Indian cities. I think all of these are ways in which we can temper the inevitable rise in inequality. But after some time, it's called the Lewis turning point. I mean, when the labor supply stops growing, inequality starts to come down, or is expected to come down. But that's some distance away. I think in the interim, we have to be very careful about the rising inequality.
I'm going to leave it there, Neelkant, for giving us that very sharp overview with all the challenges and indeed the opportunities that lie ahead. Appreciate you taking the time off to join us. Thank you so much. Neelkant Mishra giving us a sense of what it means, that big headline number, as India is poised to become the 4th largest economy in the world, overtaking Japan. Okay, let's turn to tonight's Get Real India story, and it again reflects the paradox between some of the headline numbers that are splashed on you, India becoming the 4th largest economy in the world, and some of the realities that still lie on the ground. And this is one such reality check, because despite all the big promises made under the Jal Jeevan mission, many villages in India's most populous state of Uttar Pradesh remain parched at this time of the year. In fact, in Bundelkhand, taps have reached several homes, but not the water. Tonight's ground reality tells a story of broken systems and unfulfilled promises. Here's more in Get Real India.
The Jal Jeevan Mission, the ambitious project of the Narendra Modi government, aims to provide drinking water to all citizens. With the scheme suffering from cost overruns, the government is sending teams for inspection on the ground. While that exercise will take some time, Here is what an India Today reality check found in Harijanpur village in Bundelkhand region of Uttar Pradesh. Nal has reached many villages, but not Jal. What this means is 9-year-old Anu's first priority is fetching water and not attending school. She does it 3 to 4 times every morning before heading to the classroom.
उसको ऐसी गोदी में लेके आप एक हाथ में बाल्टी और एक हाथ में इसको लेके जाती हैं?
हाँ जाते हैं।
तो घर में पाइप लगा है आपके?
नहीं लगा।
जो नल वाला कुछ नहीं लगा है?
हाँ वो वाला पाइप लगा है।
पाइप ही लगा है बस। पानी आता है?
नहीं आता।
The village in Chure Kesharwa Gram Sabha is dependent on a hand pump for water.
सुबह यही काम करते हैं, पहले पानी लेने आते हैं। यही सोचते हैं कितनी जल्दी नल पहुंचे कि पानी ले आए, कहीं नल ना फिर से पानी छोड़ दे।
ये पानी भी छोड़ देता है?
हाँ छोड़ देता है।
अच्छा, मतलब पानी आ रहा है, भरोसा नहीं है कुछ?
नहीं, कोई भरोसा नहीं है इसका।
A tap was installed at her house 6 months ago, says Kamla. But she hasn't heard from anyone since then.
जब हम बाल्टी से ढोते हैं, दूरी दूरी से लाते हैं पानी, तो क्या फायदा है इसकी लगाने के लिए? तुम ही बताइए। अब ये पानी हमको नहीं दे रहा है और सरकार चिन्ह से लग गए हो, उनसे बिल न भराएंगे जल पान के। ले तो लेबे करी है, जब बिजली यही तक लगी है तो बिजली के भी बिल भराया है।
Officials say the problems are being addressed.
हम लोगों ने एक हेल्पलाइन ओपन किया है जिसमें हम लोग लोगों से फीडबैक ले रहे हैं। जहाँ जहाँ इशू आ रहा है हम लोग वहाँ पे तुरंत अपने टीम को एक्टिवेट करके वहाँ पे सुनिश्चित कर रहे हैं कि लोगों को पानी समय से मिले। इसके अतिरिक्त हम लोगों ने सभी 328 ग्राम पंचायतों में टैंकर की व्यवस्था किया है, जिसमें जहाँ भी अगर कुछ जगह वाटर लेवल की प्रॉब्लम की वजह से पानी नहीं पहुँच रहा है तो वहाँ वाटर टैंकर की तरफ से हम लोग
promises are being fulfilled in one village of one gram panchayat, then what leads to the late execution of this yojana in other villages, leaving them to suffer in the Bundelkhand where temperature soars past 45 and 50 sometimes? That's the bigger question which we'll be asking again and again. With cameraman Neeraj Kumar and Santosh Bansal, Samarth Srivastava for India Today. The reality of the Jal Jeevan mission in some parts of the country. Let's turn from there to an India Today fact check. A video of Congress leader Shashi Tharoor is going viral. The video claims Dr. Tharoor criticized Donald Trump during his current US visit. The fact is the video is from September 2024, has nothing to do with his current visit where Dr. Tharoor is leading one of the delegations post-Operation Sindoor to the United States. The video that's doing the rounds is from September 2024. Okay, as I said, we are in Mumbai today, and it just so happened that Mumbai has experienced its heaviest rainfall in the month of May for 107 years. Now, you would think that Mumbaikars would be down with all the hardships that they suffer every time it rains heavily. But the truth of the matter is there is something about this city which means that the first onset of monsoon, the early onset of monsoon, actually leads to a large measure of good cheer because many Mumbaikars want the summer to end and the rains to come. Remember all those famous Hindi songs, Rim Jhim Gire Savan and more? Well, what better place than Marine Drive to get a sense of why Mumbai and the monsoon remains special. We hope the infrastructure will improve, but that spirit of Mumbai that we keep talking about, that is something quite special. I caught up with Mumbaikars and those coming around the country to get a sense of what the early onset of the monsoon meant. I leave you with those sounds and sights of a city like no other. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri. Jai Hind, Namaskar. Madam, where is your umbrella?
Yeah, enjoying the rain right
You're enjoying the rain?
Yeah.
You want to enjoy the rain? People are suffering in the rain. No? You enjoy the rain?
Yeah, I love rain.
You love rain? Where, umbrella kahan hai aapka chhata?
That side, sir.
You are all caught by surprise. अच्छा, तुम्हारा कम से कम अम्ब्रेला है.
I am waiting for someone.
You are waiting for someone?
Yes.
Who are you waiting for?
Someone special.
Someone special?
Yes.
In the rain?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Monsoon. I am remembering that Amitabh Bachchan song.
कौन सा?
Rim Jim Gire
Rim
Sawan.
Jim Gire Sawan.
Yes,
यार,
sir.
this is the problem with Mumbai. They will enjoy any circumstance, including the. आपका छाता किधर है?
एंजॉय कर रहे हैं अभी.
हाँ, enjoy?
कर रहे हैं. छाता ने बारिश का एंजॉय मुंबई में.
अरे यार, लोगों को इतना नुकसान हो रहा है और आप लोग एंजॉय कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, बारिश का एंजॉय. बहुत गर्मी होता है मुंबई में. अभी बारिश गिर रहा है. फुल एंजॉय कर रहे हैं अभी दोस्तों के साथ.
किधर है तुम्हारा छाता?
छाता काहे के लिए? बारिश हो रही है. छाता के लिए बारिश थोड़ी होती है. बारिश में एंजॉय करने के लिए यहाँ पे आए हैं.
रहमत बरसाइए, उसका लुत्फ लो, एंजॉय करो.
मीरा रोड से आए हम लोग.
मीरा रोड से आए केवल बारिश देखने?
बस बारिश देखने के लिए.
मरीन
बस
ड्राइव.
दुख इस बात का है कि जो लोग घरों में नहीं रह रहे, उनका जो थोड़ा बहुत नुकसान हो रहा है, सरकार अगर सुन रही होगी तो उसका भी कुछ समझ से निकल जाएंगे. हल निकलेगा उसका भी, और क्या.
चलो. How are you all? You don't have an umbrella?
We have, but एक ही है हमारे पास. हम गुजरात से आए तो हम एक ही लेकर आए थे.
आप सरप्राइज हो गए कि बारिश इतनी जल्दी आ गई?
हम गर्मी से इतने थके हुए थे कि हम यहाँ पे बारिश के लिए आए मुंबई.
अच्छा
जी.
थँक यू. चलो. कसे आहात मॅडम? पावसात तुम्ही हे काय अम्ब्रेला तरी आणली आहे? एवढ्या लवकर पाऊस आला या वर्षी?
लय लवकर आला. बरोबर. 10 दिवस आधीच आलाय.
तुम्ही काय ऑफिसला गेला की नाही आज?
नाही, मंत्रालयामध्ये गेलो होतो.
मंत्रालयात काम सोडून इथे आता मरीन ड्राईव्ह.
काम झालं, मग आलो तर म्हणलं भेट देऊन जा मरीन ड्राईव्हला, म्हणून आलो आम्ही. वातावरण छान झाले ना.
वातावरण छान झालंय. अरे लोकांना एवढा त्रास होतोय.
त्यातून पण थोडासा एन्जॉय करावाच लागतो ना. किती दिवस गर्मीमध्ये होतो ना आपण.
Mumbai, they will enjoy even the rains. Huh? Thank you, madam. How are you all? How are you guys doing? Were you prepared for such an early monsoon?
No way, no way. This is an iconic day.
Iconic day? Why?
Early monsoon coming to Mumbai.
It's the earliest it's come since 1990, and it's the heaviest rainfall in the month of May since 1918.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly why we felt it's an iconic day, iconic place.
Iconic. But do you think Mumbai is prepared for such heavy rain and for this constant? I mean, is the infrastructure ready or not? Or is it getting more and more difficult every year?
Well, every year, I don't think so it's getting any better. We hope that it gets, the authorities cannot get an early wake-up call to fix things.
You enjoy the rains or not happy with the rains?
Absolutely. Otherwise, it's going to be very hot during this time, right?
But it's come very early, yeah, the rains.
We're loving it, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at the people who might.
For a day, so she's loving it. Ask me, I'm a Mumbaikar. I'm not loving such an early rain.
Why?
No, because we are used to June and then craving for let it rain. It didn't become so hot this time.
Where do you stay?
Bangalore.
Bangalore is also collapsing in the rains. Which is the more difficult city to live in, Bangalore or Mumbai?
Bangalore. It's horrible.
Horrible? समुंदर के नीचे. अरे मैडम, आप लोग बगैर छाते के यहाँ बैठे हैं. छाता किधर है?
Rain.
You want to enjoy the rains?
Yes.
अरे but because of the rains, people's lives are getting disrupted. Sudden rains. इतने जल्दी आ गया?
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. बहुत गर्म हो रहा था. इतने जल्दी आया, वो भी अच्छा हुआ.